Hey everybody, it's Liz again. Today I'm going to go through a couple of interventions that you can do with your child at home to address more visual processing. In case you forgot or you didn't see my previous video about all of the different sensory systems, I'll just go ahead and review what the visual system does again really quick. So vision is the process that converts light energy into meaningful images within our brain to produce what we see in the world around us. Our visual systems have to work constantly to filter necessary and unnecessary information into our brain to figure out, okay, what do I need to do at the time? What is the most important? What can I ignore? Is there something dangerous in this situation? Am I supposed to focus on this right now, or should I be looking over there and focusing on that? So the visual system is extremely important in helping all kinds of different aspects of children's daily activities, all of their school-based activities, etc. Our visual system helps us discriminate between objects, shapes, sizes. It helps us, see depth perception, how far away something is or how close it is. It can help us remember visual information. So if we see letters and numbers, for example, we see it a couple of different times, we can remember in our brain, okay, so an A has two lines and another small line. I don't have to see that to remember exactly what an A looks like. So I can pull that visual memory and translate it into writing, for example. So super, super important component of our sensory processing. Your vision also helps a lot with balance and hand and eye coordination, hand-foot coordination, moving your body in space, knowing when to avoid certain objects and when you should step up on an object, step down on an object. It gives you all kinds of different information that helps you be able to move within your environment as well as process what all is going on. So some things that you can do with your kids who have hyposensitivity to visual stimuli is just providing them with a lot of colored lights, colored paper, and colored toys for activities. So you're really drawing their attention to things that you want them to complete. You can also surround your child in a very visually stimulating environment. So taking them to like the amusement park where there's lots of action going around, lots of cool things going on. Taking them to a park, go hiking, any of those kinds of things would be great for visual processing. And then talking to your child about what you're seeing is also very beneficial for kind of drawing them to what is in their environment. So, oh, do you see that bird over there? It has blue, black, and white on it. And really trying to get your child's attention to focus on that specific bird so that they're visually processing, okay, yep, now I'm seeing that this is in my environment, that's a bird, right? Providing your child with visually stimulating toys, again, can be great. So anything that's flashing, spinning a lot, those can be awesome. So a child who has hypersensitivity is extremely, extremely sensitive to light. They may, see a piece of paper with a bunch of words on it and get very, very overwhelmed because they are processing it too much. So opposite of that hyposensitivity, hypersensitivity is processing it at a way faster rate than most of us do, right? So some things that you can do to help your child if they are getting distressed in a visually stimulating environment. For example, like fluorescent lights can be really, really bothersome for a lot of people. So letting them wear sunglasses or different colored glasses, you can buy them on Amazon for very cheap, can really help kind of calm down those visual systems that are firing away and saying, this is way too much right now. You can also reduce visual distractions in the environment. So like, again, same kind of thing with that hyposensitivity. A child with hyposensitivity will have difficulty finding something in a cluttered environment. A child with hypersensitivity might be really, really bothered by how much stuff is in the environment because they're processing it too much. Like they're seeing way too much of it. Like I don't know how to think right now and what I'm actually supposed to be looking for, right? So reducing that clutter for both types of sensitivity is really, really beneficial for kids. Also, putting one thing in front of a child at a time for them to work on is going to be helpful for kids who have that hypersensitivity. If they have a lot of stuff in their environment or things on the table, it's just too much to process. So just putting one item in front of them that they need to complete for school or for their homework, maybe some kind of project that you guys are doing, Just put that one thing in front of them at a time that they can focus on so that they're not feeling super overwhelmed. Another thing that you can do to help a child organize and have less visually confusing environment is helping them organize drawers. So for example, putting dividers in between clothes, maybe putting labels on the clothing items too. So like in this divided section here are your blue pants, in this divided section here are your t-shirts, this section here is your socks, so that they have an easier time processing, what is in their environment, what they need to grab in order to get dressed. So now I'm going to go through a couple of different interventions here that you can use for kids that have visual processing difficulties. So if a kid has like a lot of sensitivity to screens, that blue light, something that you can do is get some of these nice clear but also colored filters, and you can put them over the screen so that it's an easier, more doable color work on the computer. Another thing that you can do with these is you can put it over a piece of paper, so if the contrast on here is too much for a child, or the bright of the paper is too much, you can put one of these things over the top of it, and it can help them with some of that sensitivity. There's also these really cool reading strips, so they have different colors of them, and I'll show you just a sec here how they work. So a lot of times kids have difficulty during school-based tasks if they have some sensory processing difficulties with their vision, because they're getting too much information from this page and they're unable to really organize it and process it in their head. So basically what this nifty little thing does is you can just kind of slide it down as you go, and it blocks all those other lines so that all you are focusing on is that one color and that one line as you're moving through. So it can really help the child with their reading and following along with the class. The colors also draw more attention to this portion of the paper, so if the child has a difficult time, looking at all of it because they can't find their place, this is a really nice way for the child to know exactly where they're supposed to be at as they move it along. Bubbles are also a really great visual activity, so you can pop them with both hands for bilateral coordination. Right here, I am tracking that bubble with my eyes. Another thing that you can do is popping the bubbles and with just one finger for depth perception. Another thing for depth perception here is called a Brack String. So this is at the clinic, but you can make one yourself at home with just some beads and a string. So what I'm doing here is I'm focusing on each different color of bead to help with my oculomotor convergence so that I am able to better focus on things. So highlighting some things, underlining stuff, and even using colored markers to underline, circle, or highlight things in the page is really going to help draw that child's attention to what is most important that they need to be focusing on within a reading. You can also write little notes on the bottom with that colored pen to help remember the most important information. This activity here is great for visual discrimination of shapes, colors, and sizes, and it is also a wonderful activity for visual motor skills and visual perceptual skills. So all of these different components of my visual sensory system are working together to figure out how these pieces go in each place so that I can complete the puzzle.